What's up, guys? Mark with Precision Computing, Lucid Made Designs. I made a post the other day about wrapping these sail panels for my Oldsmobile Cutlass, and you guys seem pretty interested. So I wanted to do a video on the process because I also think I can improve on it. So a couple of things that I noticed while I was doing it the first time, and I think I can just do it better. So I figured I would do a video for you guys of me doing the other side. So stay tuned. Alright, now as you can see, I have my one side done here, and I knew there were some things that I could improve, but this was my first time attempting to wrap these kind of panels. I've worked with flooring and carpet and vinyl flooring, and this fabric, vinyl and car wrap material vinyl, and leather, and pretty much everything throughout the years. So I had a basic idea of what I needed to do, but when you do something for the first time like this, there's always going to be room for improvement. So even as I did the first set of panels, there were a couple of pieces that I pulled back off and just recut new pieces and redid it. So when you're ordering, order extra. The link that I'll provide for you guys, it's like 54 inches by 108 inches, so 3 yards for like $40. So I just ordered the 1 3-yard kit. I might order another one because I have some more work to do, and I don't know if I'm going to have enough to do it after I do these 4 large panels. So you can see with my first one here, I'm not really concerned with this up here because carpet is going to come up along this edge. So you're not going to see any of that. It'll all be hidden by carpet. You don't see anything tucked around the edge here because of your handle that goes in here. And I did have these vinyl dyed, but it's like the dye is just not picking up proper. So I don't know if I need to scuff them and try to do it again because it's dull and shiny, or if I'm going to wind up just wrapping these two because it would be really simple. And maybe in a different accent color, maybe white or something. I don't know. We'll get to that later. But I did notice when I used the adhesive and I stuck the material to itself, it didn't want to stick very well. So I am going to go back and trim this one seam that I have on this one. But what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to pre-cut my piece and I'm going to lay it out and I'm going to make some of my relief cuts and see if I can do this all in one piece. I cannot guarantee, and I don't even think that I would have the skill to do the other piece all in one piece because the way that it tucks in around for the window. So, but what I think I can do is do it in like 2 pieces instead of, I think I have it like 3 or 4 pieces. But with that being said, anyways, you can see I have my armrest piece in here. None of this you have to worry about because there's a piece that tucks in behind that. So don't worry about that. The seatbelt would normally come up through here. So all you're wanting to wrap is this front section here, and then up this back section here. Your B-pillar trim comes over the front edge of this, so you don't really need to tuck it around, even though I did. But we're just going to start from the finish and go at it. Once I get to wrapping, I'll probably speed up the video, but until then we're just going to stay at normal speed. And here's the material, what I have left after I did the other 2 panels, which is still a good amount. If I just had to do these panels, it's $40 worth of material. That's all I would need. But I'm going to do some other stuff in my car too, so I might need to order some more. And this is basically how I did it. I just laid it out here on my little table. I cut extra to make sure that, because you have to compensate for when you come around these bends and down into here, right? So you want to make sure you have enough to come down in. And now this is why I did a seam here, is because, let's move this out of the way. First things first, what you want to do with your panel, and I'll get to that after I pull this material back off. But when I put this, laid it over like this, and I folded this down in, you see this wrinkle here? And I was afraid I was going to have that wrinkle, and that's why I did it in 2 pieces. But after I laid it out, I think if I come up from the bottom and work to here and pre-cut back in through here, that I can get rid of that and do this all in one piece. So you want to have a pair of scissors or shears. This stuff cuts pretty easily, so you don't need anything industrial or commercial grade. And also a knife, because I just found that, I have a couple different knives, just found that to be a little bit easier in some areas. And you just make sure you're all filled in down. Leave yourself a few inches extra all the way around, and go ahead and cut back what you need. Some areas working around the panel, it was easier with a knife. Other places, it's easier with a scissor. I just left a few extra inches just to make sure that once I make reliefs and stuff like that, that I have enough extra. All right, and then I took my other material, just kind of folded it back up. Got it out of my way. But keep it handy just in case you need to grab an extra little piece. So we'll just set it off to the side. Now, before we get into starting with anything here, you're going to need some spray adhesive. I got a couple of cans. I used almost one full can doing the other two panels. This can should be enough to do this one panel, especially because I'm going to do it in pieces. The next thing you want to do is clean your panels. Now you can see I painted mine, but it sat out in my shop and in my garage, and you can see that I got some overspray on them. But the finish was about here, and this was shinier than I wanted. So initially what I was going to do is just sand them down, and I have a really nice flat black paint from Seymour. And so I was going to do that, and I was just going to paint them again. But it wasn't grabbing me, so I wanted something different. So I came up with this. So I just started by wiping them off with a wet rag, and then I grabbed a couple little metal brushes, and I just kind of scraped over the whole surface, and I kind of flexed the plastic a little bit, so if any of the paint I had sprayed on wasn't adhered properly, it would want to pop up. If you have not painted your panels and you just have factory OEM dyed panels, then you can probably get away with just cleaning them really well. If you have any of the plastic that's wanting to peel or flake off, you're going to want to flake that off so you have a good surface to work with. But mine, I just went through and I scraped with these metal brushes just to get the plastic really clean. And I also kind of used my scissor, and just when I flexed, I saw a little flake, and just made sure that I scraped away anything that was going to be loose. After that, I wiped them down again, and then I wiped them with some prep solvent. So we have a really nice clean surface to work with, and then we lay it out. And now I'm going to take my material and I'm going to lay it out again, but I'm going to turn this panel around because I want to make my relief cuts all the way down into here. And now I'm not telling you guys to throw money away, but just understand that if you goof up 3 yards by 54 inches of this material is $40. So if you think you might want to play around and try with a panel or get yourself familiar, screw a couple of pieces of wood together at an angle or a curve or something, or take a scrap panel, go to the junkyard, grab a panel and test it out. I'm actually going to try with my front armrest that I haven't dyed yet, and the reason that I never thought about doing this before is because coming down into this area here where the screw holes go, you're not going to be able to wrap down on all 3 sides at the same time because you can't really heat this stuff up and make it stretch. It won't do that. It's cloth on the back side. So you could wrap the whole front of this really nice, and even around the edge here if you folded it over and made a relief cut down where you wouldn't really see that relief cut. And so I'm probably going to do that, and I'm probably going to do it down in this panel with just the black vinyl dye, so it's just in one area, but the rest of it is really nice. But like I said, you're going to want to make sure you have extra material, because if you make a mistake, which if it's the first time you're doing something, take your time, and that's your best bet. And hopefully this video will help you guys out to learn from not the mistakes that I made last night, but just the improvements that I'm going to make on the work I did yesterday. Now I'm going to bring this down. This is just like a rough cut, and then I'm going to cut and relief cut a little closer, but I'm gonna bring this down really close in here. And like these pieces I'll keep if I need them for something, because it's a good sized piece. Now you see when you can put it together in here. When you do that, you're gonna see the bunching that you're gonna need to get to. So I can actually relief cut this piece, and if I just lay this here, and then lay like if I start from the bottom up, and I lay up this side here, when I get to here, I can come in right here, and I can cut this way with a knife, so that this will lay down in. So I will be able to lay this in one piece. I should have thought about that yesterday, but as I said, my first time doing something, and I was a little preemptive, trying to work quick. So now you can see that it'll lay down in there, and then once I lay this flat up this way, I'm gonna tuck it over and roll down into here, and then as I work back, I'll slowly make my cut back until I get it pushed all the way into the corner. And then we'll have this part down here already all stuck down, because what I'm gonna do, which I'll show you in a minute, stay tuned. But I'm gonna then work my way up over here and do the same on this side, where I'll make my relief cut, and we'll be good. I'm pretty sure I can do this one in one piece without a problem. So let's get to it. Clean our workbench a little bit here. And the stuff is pretty forgiving. There's multiple different kinds of spray adhesive you can get out there. Professionals use the stuff in a gun, the glue in the gun. I don't have that. I don't want to clean a gun. I have extra spray guns and stuff like that. I have the equipment to set up to spray, but I don't want to clean that. These you can get for $12 for the spray adhesive. Somebody was asking me, how long is it going to last? Like headliners fall and stuff like that, and sure they do. These panels are 45 years old. I'm going to wrap them this time. The next time I wrap them, it might not be me wrapping them. Or, I might want to update it in 10 years. And then it's not that big a deal, because I can either remove this material or I can more than likely wrap over it. Either way. With that being said, so I'm going to, if I fold this back, like so, come right to that edge there. Okay. Now I can spray adhesive here and here, and then put that down after a minute, and then those two surfaces will be bonded, and then I'll be able to fold the other side back this way and work up from there. So that's how I'm going to do it. And what I'm going to do to try to prevent my top material from getting some residual spray on it, just throw a couple rags over it. This way I can spray my material, not worry about glue getting on everything, because I did have that happen yesterday too. And I can also just take a scrap piece of material and lay it over it, some paper towels, whatever you want. You don't need to do that either. The nice thing about this material, if the glue gets on the surface of it, it does peel off really nicely. So you want to make sure that our nozzle is clean. It says to use acetone or pretty much anything that'll break down the glue, but you can also just scrape it. I do have my fan on, guys. I apologize in advance, but I have another one right over there that I have off for the video. So this one just kind of giving me some air from back here, which I could probably get some more air if I move this out of my way. Get a little bit more here. So go ahead, shake up your adhesive, and what this says is to wait about a minute or two after you spray. And this is not an adhesive. This is the 3M High Strength 90. This is not an adhesive that you'll just spray to one side. It's like a contact adhesive. So you want to spray it on both sides, and then it makes contact with itself to stick. Which I think is why the material, it didn't stick on the material, because I didn't spray adhesive on the material. And then, just like you're painting, Just give your material good coverage. It's a little, you don't have to be as fancy as if you were painting. Just want to make sure that you have good glue coverage over the whole surface. And with this, more is not better. You just want to make sure that you have good coverage, that's all. Okay, and that's it. We're going to wait 60 seconds. In the meantime, go check out lucidmadedesigns.com. There you'll find 3D printed model cars, automotive emblems, car show signs and designs, automotive lenses, coming soon. We do tumblers and mugs, we do silicone mold making, and also gaming computers. I've been in the gaming computer industry for a very long time, the computer industry, I should say, IT related. And I started using some equipment that I use to manufacture products for the automotive side of things. So really cool mesh together of the two worlds. I started out working on cars when I was 15, got into IT and into computers, and I love them both, so I do stuff for both. But I have my CNC machine here, which kind of has some parts on it right now. I'm in the middle of restructuring my garage at this point. I have a plasma CNC machine that I'm building. I have a couple laser machines and some 3D printers. So if you want something made, I also have a vinyl plotter. I can make it. Just shoot us a message, scan the QR code, go to lucidmadedesigns.com, send us a message. And that should be about a minute. And how you test this is, you want to tap it with your knuckle like you would with paint, right? And if you don't leave an impression in the paint with your knuckle, you don't want to touch paint ever like this, because now you've stuck to the paint if it's wet. If you touch it this way, your hand tends to clench out of natural reflex. So you probably won't do any more damage than you have with your knuckle. You do the same thing with this. If your knuckle doesn't stick, it's ready to apply. And now, just like you would a vinyl decal or anything like that, you can use a squeegee. You don't have to. You just want to hold the end up. And just work the majority down. And we're going to work up to our curve over here. Make sure we don't stick to our edge before we get our curve up. And again, remember that with your end piece here, at least on the G bodies, your carpet does come and tuck up over this panel. And it's also right next to your seats. So if you have a little bit, which I've gotten both times, of bubble or sticky here, maybe it's because of the paint that I used on these, which they've been painted for a couple years, it's not like it's fresh. I'm not going to be too concerned with it because that's never going to be visible. That's the same, when you're working around this area here. It's never going to be visible because you're going to tuck your armrest in there. And that's it. It's done. Just don't peel it back up and you're fine. So sticks pretty good. Now, it does take time to set, and you can, if you want to, at this time, trim it back or wrap it around the edge. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to continue to work up this side. When I'm done, I'll put something down, flip it over, spray a little adhesive on the edge and the other side, and wrap around the panel so that we have a nice finished edge. Now we can peel back to right there where our adhesive is. For any of you guys that have done any vinyl work or sign work, this is kind of the same thought process as that, right? Where you'll lay out a decal, a really big decal if you're putting it on by yourself, put a piece of tape down the middle, peel your backing paper, squeegee from this side out, peel up the other side, squeegee from that side out. It's kind of where I came up with this idea. And so now I'm going to work up here. So I'm going to apply my adhesive to this side only. And again, we'll just throw, since this is kind of our finished edge down here, throw a couple of rags down here so we don't get over our finished material. Flip it back. And everywhere you want it to stick, you want to have glue. So being that I'm going to work up this side first, the glue does peel off your fingers pretty well, but if you guys are worried about that, you can always put on a glove. And that should be more than enough. And then we're going to set it back, and we're just going to wait again. It doesn't even take a minute. It's warm here. It's still probably 75 degrees. It's Florida. So it does cure pretty quickly. And when I pull this side up, I am going to shift this a little bit forward. So I'm just going to make sure that I put a little glue to my edge here. So I'm not worried about whether that sticks or not. And now if you have a little glue coverage, you can always spray a little more glue on top of that later on. It's not really going to harm anything. And again, we'll check. No tack, see what I mean? It sets up pretty quick. And then we're just going to take it from the edge again, and we're going to work up from the bottom. Remember, this panel tucks up into our top panel. So, make sure you don't cover your edge too much here. But you can always cut that back, right? So it's not a big deal. We're going to come up over the edge there, and we're going to tuck into here, just as much as we can. Get our edge start to be formed, and we're going to come this way. I'm going to work down. And then you're going to see we're going to come to a point where it's the same with here too. You have that insert piece that kind of goes over here, so a lot of that's going to be covered too. So now here you're going to see I'm coming to this ridge here where I can't install anymore without making a relief cut. So we're just going to cut back a little bit at a time until we get back into our corner piece. Just like so. Now you're tucked all the way down in. There you have it in one piece, guys. And we're going to do the same on the other side. We're going to work up to this corner and we'll make our relief cuts the same way we just did there. So let's get our glue on. Now, don't think I'm a professional here. I'm not. I literally just did these panels for the first time last night. Just like you guys, working out of my garage, trying to make my car look nice. And I like to do stuff myself. Now what I did find with this material is as you spray the glue on, it makes the fabric a little wet. So I tend to, when I'm going to be working in a tricky area, let it sit for a little while longer than when this is tacky, because it soaks through the fabric, and when it's coming out of here, it's coming out cold. If you're in a colder climate, it's probably not going to affect it as much, but it's, you know, kind of like pressurized when you're filling your AC in the can. The pressurized gas inside gets cold to spray the material out. So if you're in a colder climate, it's probably not going to be as drastic. Here in Florida, it's hot and muggy and humid. Because it's hard to tell. You can see it kind of bubbles, right? Those gases as it releases. It's hard to tell if it's tacky on this side or not still, because it's fabric. You can feel it a little bit, but it's not the same as here. When you press it down, you can see that it doesn't come off on your finger. It's a little more difficult on this side. So being that I have this curve here, and then when I come down into this corner where there's this, like this 90-degree bend on top of the curve, it does make the back side of the plastic cold too, actually, now that I feel that. That's a little tricky, and this time I'm probably just gonna make a slice up into the corner and just have the two corners meet. Again, the carpet goes there, and you're buried deep back next to your seats. So in my situation, I don't have the factory G-body seat in the back, so my panels are a little more visible than everybody else's. And I'm going to have a custom thing going up the side and a speaker pod and stuff like that, so it's still going to be, you know, it's still going to be pretty good, but it's not going to be visible. But I'm really glad I did this, because now this is one piece. I might think about redoing the other lower piece, we'll see. But let's take this now and we'll get started. We're just, again, going to come from the bottom here. And being that I'm at this corner, I'm just going to start with that corner. Work my end down in here. Push this down in. And I'm going to start by just pushing up with my thumb into this corner piece. Yeah, and it's got a tendency to want to wrinkle, but we'll be able to work that out. So not going to be too concerned with it. Even if I have one little wrinkle on the bottom there, as I said, that's where our carpet goes. So I'm not going to see that. Oh, you know what? Let me make a relief cut here. And you're probably going to get some goo on your hands. If that's something that bothers you, you can always wear gloves. Okay, we do have some air into our corner here. Like I said, the fabric doesn't stretch a lot. It's going to stretch some, not a lot. So we'll keep trying to work it out. Now this is happening because I'm doing this all in one piece. So I'm sacrificing a seam for a little bubble here, which is in an area that you're not going to see. I could also peel this back up, just trying to avoid having to do that. Especially because, like I said, it's in an area that you're not really going to see. So now, there could be 100 other people out there that did a video on this. I have not even looked on YouTube to see if something was out there. I just went by the reaction that I got in a couple of groups on Facebook and said, you know, go ahead and do this video. And do have a lot of other G-body videos on my channel. Go ahead and check those out. And I am going to be posting my vlog. I'm going to be starting that very soon of my Cutlass and what I've done. Now, the other thing I was thinking about is for this, I could probably cut this back or leave this edge not wrapped to get it to really tuck into that corner because of that carpet situation. Take a peek inside the car. It's a tough decision. I think I'm just going to leave it for now, and I mean, either way, I like the result. So we'll just go ahead and make our relief cuts here. I am not going to roll this over the edge. I primarily just rolled it over the edge on the B-pillar side, just to have a nice front face there. So we'll roll this side over the edge, but you don't really need to roll anything else because you'll never see those edges. The B-pillar edge, if you do take your B-pillar trim off, you will see that. So I left that nice where I could roll that over. And this tucks into our upper trim, so I'm not going to roll that. I'm just going to roll back our one edge here. So let's go ahead and do that while we're thinking about it. Let's see if I got enough glue here to do this. Maybe just enough. Let that sit for a minute. And I mean, really, that's it. The hardest part is this curve over here. So if you're watching me, maybe you want to start on that side. If you do, make sure you have a little bit of extra vinyl material so that when you push that curve, if it shifts or tweaks the vinyl in any way, you can work your way out of it. But we'll show you guys the final result here in a second after I wrap this edge. Wrapping the edge, I just kind of grab the end, pull it tight, and then squeeze the edge down. You can trim it back if you want. Don't really need to. And that's it, guys. It's that simple. There's your panel. Now remember that this glue is going to take some hours to set up. So make sure you go over it, push it down. You can see I have some bubbles here in the corner that I'm going to keep stretching the material. I might get a little bit of heat and see if I can't stretch it just a little bit to work it in. But if that's the worst of the scenario, to be completely honest, once it's in the car, you're never going to see that. So I'm not going to be too concerned with it there. For the most part, I can push it down. If I generate a little heat with my hand, it could be my spray adhesive and the humidity too. not wanting to stick properly, because I can push it down and it does stay and then it releases a little. It could be the glue that I sprayed on these panels. There's a number of scenarios, but I'm not going to see that very, very edge there. And if there's a little bit of release on the panel here, again, like I said, I'll do my best to press it down, see if I can get it to stay. I can always put something in this corner and put a little weight on it. Like I said, I'm going to grab my heat gun and just try that off camera a little bit. But it's really that simple, and you get a really nice wrapped panel. You can feel where your impressions, where your screw holes are, which I think it's just 2 on this panel here. So you can go ahead and make those, pop a hole through there. I already painted my panel black, so inside the cup of that screw hole is already black. So I'm just going to make a hole, and then the screw will go down inside the hole, and you won't see it, and the hole inside there will be black, so it'll disappear. So you can just find those 2 holes, and I'm not going to pop a hole in the material. I'm just going to take my screw, take a trim screw that you're going to use to put your panel on, and push it right through the material. And then screw it into the car. That easy in both places. And that's it. Super simple. I hope you guys find this video informational and helpful if you're going to try to do this project modification to your car. And once you're here, again, you can take your armrest, put it on, and like I said, you don't see any of this down in here, none of it. And everything that's here, like I said, I'm going to work on getting this to press down a little bit further here. But again, I'm not going to be too concerned with it. Just seems like the glue isn't holding up as well as it should have. Which, if that's the case, I can always peel this back and clean the area and try again. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to go ahead and get my top panel done. This one's a lot more fun. Now, as I said with this one, and you can see how dirty they are when I started, so make sure you clean it really well. I'm going to start from the edge here, because this is pretty flat with just a slight curve and contour in at the bottom and the top. And with the other one, what I did was I worked a piece here, and then a piece here up to this wide corner like this, and then a piece here up out of this corner, and then I worked this in and around. And that worked out really well. But like I just did here, what I think I might be able to do is come this way and come flat across these flat parts, have my relief cut into here. I won't be able to go all the way because this material is not going to stretch. So we'll see. But anyways, I'm going to work this way, give myself enough material so I can try to do one piece up to this edge here and then just have one piece over here. But that's how I'm going to do this. Same application method, same cleaning method, clean it up really well. You can see they originally were TM, but they were intact. Just the face of the surface of mine were a little bit, crumbling just a little bit. But other than that, they, the tabs, the locking tabs and all that, all of this stuff was still intact. So it worked out really well. And the end result is really nice. And even a product like this, even if I have a little bulge here, again, it's not something that you're going to see once you lock these 2 panels together inside the car. This locks, interlocks like so. Same over there. And then you have your piece in here. And that's going to be the big stuff that you notice. You're not going to notice this little piece right here because you're going to have a piece of carpet that comes all the way up. Your carpet wraps all the way up over the edge of this trim. And for most of you G-body guys out there, your seat comes all the way to this edge. So you're really not going to see this edge at all. Mine, of course, you see it. So it is what it is. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Share this with all your G-body buddies or just somebody looking to do their interior panels in their car. Doesn't have to be a G-body. This would apply for any plastic panel in your classic or modern car that you're just trying to make look a little bit nicer. And this could apply for any type of material. You could even carpet these. You could get, you could have Your carpet, same like you use for your speaker boxes if you wanted to carpet it, or like I said, any material, shag, fabric, pretty much anything. So that's it for now in this video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Stay tuned.